Hello all, my name is Kirsten Hunter. I'm the Director of Lifespan Ministries here at South Church, and I'm just recording a quick update on our COVID policies at the church. I'm going to share my screen so you can read along with me as I go through our new policies that have changed it a little bit since the new year. As many of you are probably aware, we have shifted back to a single Sunday worship service at 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings. It's lovely that we're all able to be in the church together again, as opposed to in two services. But again, many of you are likely still feeling a little cautious about being at in-person gatherings. So please know that we are also live streaming the service on YouTube at 10 a.m. And that will continue even after COVID passes. We will continue to have live stream worship services, which you can also watch later on if you missed it at the live time. Okay, so for in-person events, our COVID policies have included a shift now to requiring a vaccination, proof of vaccination for anyone attending in-person events at South Church. I know that this policy shift could be difficult for some of you, or even just the implementation of the policy may feel uncomfortable. We are really welcoming conversations and feedback from anyone who's feeling concerned or upset about decisions we've made. At South Church, the Board of Trustees, the COVID Task Force, the staff are all engaging in this discernment with the intention of maximizing our community's safety and a culture of consent and inclusion, which means we're trying to make decisions that maximize our ability to all be together. And I realize that there is, it's an impossible task to meet the needs of everyone and to honor the perspectives of everyone within our community. So we're doing the best we can, and we welcome conversation if there is feedback you'd like to share. So attending in-person events, we are asking to see proof of vaccination, as well as having people continue to sign waivers to be attending in person. That process can be expedited. You can do it just once and get a sticker on your name tag at the church, which will allow you to sort of speed through it from that time forward. So I encourage folks to do that. You can also take a photo of your vaccine card and keep it on your phone, which you may find to be a little bit easier than having to carry the card itself around. We are not keeping medical records on file at the church. However, as I said, by getting that sticker, you can forego the process of having to show proof of vaccine over and over again. We are allowing musicians to sing and or play wind instruments now, as long as they are masking the instruments or their singing instrument. There are choral masks that are special masks for singing that have a larger space for air inside the mask. So we have purchased some of those masks at the church. We are able to sell those to anyone looking for them and or loan them and keep them laundered and clean and sterile for folks to use during choir. Johnny Pfeiffer, our music director, is getting ready to begin some choir options in the coming weeks, and so keep an eye out for that. If you've been missing singing, that's going to be the place to go. We still, as a congregation, are foregoing singing in the sanctuary due to the increased risk, but hopefully by this spring we might be able to consider that option as well. The last thing on this is that we're continuing to ask folks not to eat or drink inside the building when convening. If you're having a small group, that you forego coffee, drinks, food, because that would require people to take off masks. And we're really still sort of leaning on the side of caution around that process. And we'll let you know if that changes. The thing that is a little more explicitly stated now is our policy around exposure and if you test positive. So just a little science behind how this is written, because it may seem a little confusing. The CDC and scientists and doctors have found that vaccinations remain effective for a period of time and they start to decrease in their effectiveness. With the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine, the place of deteriorated effectiveness that they've marked is 6 months. So if it has been 6 months since you've gotten your Pfizer or Moderna, it is recommended that you get boosted. That is probably most adults at this point are in that 6 months out window for Pfizer and Moderna. And so if you have not gotten boosted yet, you kind of want to think of yourself as not being vaccinated. Or minimally vaccinated at this point. Johnson & Johnson has a shorter window. If you were originally got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, I believe it's after 2 months that the effectiveness of the vaccine has deteriorated to a point where you may want to consider getting boosted. So if you're in the category of freshly vaccinated within that 6 months window or recently boosted, the church is not requiring that you quarantine due to a close contact. If you're exposed to someone, if you are traveling, if you are doing higher risk activities where you may be exposed to someone with COVID, we are not requiring that you forego attending in-person events. However, if you're aware that you've done something that is a higher risk or are aware that you have been exposed, we do ask that you be very vigilant about your mask use. Don't hug people, keep a distance, be mindful that you may be carrying the COVID virus. If you are in the window of unvaccinated, in the sense of it's been more than 6 months, we do ask that you forego coming to church if you've had a close contact, and that before you come back to church, you wait 5 days and take a test to make sure that you're negative. If that's the case, you can come back at the 5-day mark, and again, be vigilant about your masking and keeping distant from people for an additional 5 days so that you have a 10-day window where you're really sort of doing the best to keep our community extra safe. If you do test positive or during any of those previous scenarios, if you become symptomatic in any way, we do ask that you quarantine. From the 5-day mark after testing positive, you can test again. Assuming your symptoms have gone and assuming that you test negative, you could then come back to church. If you don't test negative, we ask that you remain absent from church events until you get a negative test. And again, a 10-day window is sort of the long stretch. So with all of these, if you think of that 5-day mark is when you might know after an exposure that you've tested positive, that's a good time to test, to check and see where you're at. Any negative test at that point would allow anybody to come back to church events. I hope that's clear. It's in writing on our website as well as on the screen here. If you have questions, if you have concerns, if you want to chat about any of this, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of our board of trustee members, our Reverend Susan or myself. We're always happy to have a conversation. We send love to you. I hope this new year is bringing new discoveries and opportunities for laughter, and we hope to see you soon.